We'd like to see you all on over at the office. We're going to be doing phone banking on Wednesday nights for the next several weeks. We've got a door knocking for Abby planned on August 19th. That's next Sunday. I'm not sure. Time, Abby, do you know the time? Early.
Very good question. Thank you.
I tell you what, I've got it on my phone. I'll have to look it up and I'll let everybody know. All righty. Well, thank you very much. Wow, tough act to follow, but Eric, you're going to have to do it. Everyone, this is Eric Swalwell. Eric is a congressman from California. Yeah, no, what's he doing in Iowa? I don't know. Now, he has an Iowa connection. He was born in Algona and lived there for a part of your life. Yeah. But I'm going to let Eric himself tell you why he is here in Iowa's 1st District in Jackson County at this cornball on this night in August.
Thank you, Donna. I am here in Jackson County because we're going to send Abby Finkenauer to Congress. We're going to cut our time in hell in half, and we're going to start to rebuild this country of ours. And I know that's why you're here too. I know how hard you work. I know that there are days where you can feel the pain in your bones. I know why you serve in the community. You show up and toil away at your churches and community centers, and you volunteer to help and lift up the lives of people that you may never meet. And I know you do that because you believe in the idea of America. It's an idea that we engage civically, and that when we work hard at our jobs, we do it because in America, it adds up to something. You can do better for yourself and dream bigger for your kids. And that idea is more at stake and more at risk of being taken away now than I think any time in our country's history. Because we have a president and Republican enablers in Congress who have taken a wrecking ball to all of those freedoms, all of those American promises. And we've got to rebuild it. And it's going to take all of our hands and all of our hearts to do that over the next 87 days. I learned that value of hard work in Algona. My dad worked as a police officer. My mom, she made dollhouses in the garage, baked wedding cakes in the kitchen, and ran a very large unlicensed daycare facility with kids like running around everywhere. And my dad would bring that police car home every night, and I'd wait for him in the driveway. And I'd tell him, Dad, can we push the siren one more time? And 2, I want to be a cop just like you. And he would always tell me that, son, it doesn't work that way. And what he meant and what he and my mom went on to show me through how hard they worked and how deep they dug and how much they sacrificed was that their dream for me, the reason my dad broke his back on the streets, was so that I could be the first in the family to go to college. And so I saw them chase that dream all over the country. We moved from Iowa to Oregon, up and down California. I hated moving. It sucked. You make friends, pack up, make new friends. But I realized that they were working so hard, putting us in 11 different houses that we rented before we finally bought one of our own. Different school districts. Because they believed that if they worked a better job, it put us in a better school district and gave me a better shot. That's at the center of our identity. It's that our kids can do better than us if we work hard. I was able to go off to college and law school and come back home. Just like Rob Sand, I worked as a prosecutor in the community where they finally rooted me. And my dad told me he was so proud because he had to break his back every day to put bad guys away. And he was able to watch his son do the same thing, but using his mind in a courtroom. And didn't have to do the same thing that he did. Today, what I see though, in my district in Northern California and across the country is that so many families, so many young people followed that American promise. They went off to school and they've come back and they're saddled with hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt. They're not starting families. They're not able to buy homes near where they work. and too many young people who have a good idea, who want to follow that spirit of entrepreneurialism in America. It's the least entrepreneurial generation America's ever known. You know, the president came to Congress a couple months ago and he said the GDP was at an all-time high, the unemployment rate was at an all-time low, and the stock market was raging. And I think for the first time in his life, he told 3 truths in a row. But to the people that I represent and the people that I see across the country, the economy is not the GDP. It's not the unemployment rate. It's not the stock market. It's you. That's how you're doing. Are you saving more and doing better and dreaming bigger? And right now, with healthcare costs rising and wages in decline, we are in a Trump slump. Yeah. We're in a Trump slump. But I have hope that it's candidates like Abby Finkenauer, someone who has seen her own parents work hard, who's worked hard herself, who are going to lift us out of that. And what we have to do to get out of the Trump slump is to, once and for all in our country, give every American a health care guarantee. If you are sick, you will be seen, and if you are seen, you will not go broke because of it.
Yes.
I have voted every single time against the efforts to repeal the Affordable Care Act. On our sons, my wife went to the 40-week appointment right before our son was born. And the OB told us at that appointment, she said, you know, we think the baby's going to come anytime in the next few days. And my wife told our doctor, she said, I'm so excited, my husband, he's going to be home this week rather than being in Washington, D.C. And the doctor looked at my wife and then looked at me and said, you're going to miss votes? And then she asked, well, couldn't the health care vote come back up this week to repeal the Affordable Care Act? And my wife looked at me and she said, you're going to miss votes? And then the doctor told me, she said, how about I make a deal with you? You do your job, and I'll do mine. You go back there and make sure that they don't take away my patient's health care, and I'll see your wife and make sure you don't miss the birth of that baby. I made it back with just 3 hours to go. But I saw right there what's on the line and why who we elect matters. Rod Blum, when that health care vote came up, he voted to gut health care and take it away from Iowans. Yes. Abby Finkenauer won't do that. When it comes to education, we have to once and for all also put modern schools in every community. That should be a part of an infrastructure bill. And value our teachers who prepare our kids. And protect the children who learn inside those walls. Our teachers know that over the next few weeks, as kids across Iowa go back to school, they're going to be filled with anxiety again. When a book falls off a desk, when a fire alarm goes off, the fear that will just fill up their minds. And you know what they're telling us? And what we should listen to? Is that they have a right to learn. They have a right to go home. And they have a right to live. And those rights are greater than any other right in our Constitution. With the new Congress, we can pass background checks. We can take the most dangerous weapons out of the hands of the most dangerous people. But to get issues like this done, to have a health care guarantee, invest in education, to protect our kids in the classroom, it's time, once and for all, we address the structural issues. We have to scrub our country of the dirty maps and the dirty money. Get rid of the gerrymandered maps and have independent redistricting in every States, just like we do right here in Iowa. And strip down to the studs the Citizens United ruling. And we have to defend this great democracy that so many veterans have fought for and sacrificed for, and make sure that we have free and fair elections and that they belong to us, not a foreign adversary. After the November 8th interference campaign, I wrote legislation to have an independent commission to look at how the Russians were able to do this, who they worked with in the United States, and put reforms in place so it would never happen again. I modeled it after the September 11 Commission. I was an intern on Capitol Hill that day when it happened, and just like you, I saw Republicans and Democrats. They joined arm in arm, saying God bless America, and went back to work to make sure we were safer in the skies. I thought, couldn't we at least do that when our democracy is on the line? Every Democrat signed on to that bill. Only 2 Republicans. Do you think Rod Blum signed on to that bill? No. You think Abby Finkenauer would stand up for our democracy? She sure would. So I can try and change more Republican minds over the next 3 months. But honestly, Jackson County, we've got to change some seats. We've got to change 23 seats. And if we change 23 seats, we're not going to take back the House. When you tell millennials you're going to take back the House, they look at you and they say, we had the House? And to a lot of Americans, it sounds too much like a power grab. And to me, after listening to you, I don't think we want to go back. I want to be so bold and so courageous that we build something new. So, this election, when we build something new, we're going to restore the freedoms that the wrecking ball presidency has destroyed. And I think of the 4 freedoms that Franklin Roosevelt promised every man, woman, and child in 1941. The freedom of speech. Today, our president has declared the press the enemy of the people. The freedom of worship. Today in America, we have a Muslim ban. The freedom from fear. A president who tells us that the immigrant is to blame for any problem that we have in our life. And Franklin Roosevelt promised a freedom from want. The idea that no one goes into poverty if they're going to work hard. That we take care of those who have needs in America. And we protect Social Security and Medicare. Let's restore those 4 freedoms, but let's also add a 5th freedom. A uniquely American freedom. The freedom to dream. The dream that my parents dreamed for me in that Algona driveway. And the dream that every Jackson County family dreams for their kids. That if they work hard, it adds up, it means something. That if our kids are free to learn, they're free to dream. If they're free from discrimination, they're free to dream. If they're free to drink clean water and breathe clean air, they're free to dream. If we're all free to work and it means something, we're free to dream. I still believe in that idea of America. I need Abby Finkenauer as a colleague to make sure it happens for all of us. I know you do too. Let's make sure it's always true. Thank you so much, Jackson.